The Middle East is currently witnessing a massive shift in military power that has sent shockwaves through the region. As tensions reach a boiling point, the United States has made a sudden, high-stakes move. 3,000 U.S. Marines, backed by dozens of V-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft, are officially heading into the heart of the desert. This isn't just a routine rotation, it is an emergency deployment aimed at neutralizing any meaningful military threat. From the flight decks of massive assault ships to the silent sands of forward operating bases, the machinery of war is moving at a speed rarely seen in modern history. The message being sent is loud and clear. The landscape of this conflict is about to change forever. While the world watches the headlines, the reality on the ground is a blur of intense preparation and heavy logistics. At military installations across the globe, the order was marked urgent. There was no time for long farewells. Marines were already assembled on the flight lines, standing in full combat gear, body armor tightened, helmets buckled, and rifles held at the ready. As the massive rotors of the V-22 Ospreys began to spin, creating a deafening roar that vibrated through the tarmac, the transition from peace to a state of high alert was instantaneous. The Osprey is a unique beast in the American arsenal. It combines the vertical takeoff capability of a helicopter with the speed and range of a fixed-wing plane. This makes it the perfect tool for a rapid insertion into a volatile environment. As the rear ramps lowered, files of Marines moved with practiced precision, taking their seats and buckling into the jump seats. Within minutes, the aircraft were airborne, banking hard toward the horizon, where a fleet of naval vessels awaited them in international waters. These ships serve as more than just transport, they are floating fortresses and mobile command centers. On board, the atmosphere is electric. Below deck, in cramped, dimly lit compartments, officers are conducting rapid-fire briefings. There is no room for fluff. They are discussing rules of engagement, contingency plans, and emergency procedures. Every Marine knows that once their boots hit the sand, the margin for error disappears. As soon as the briefings end, the work of up-arming begins. This is the rhythmic, mechanical side of preparation. Ammunition crates are pried open, and thousands of brass rounds are loaded into magazines, one by one. You can hear the constant metallic click of springs being compressed. Rifles are stripped, cleaned, and function-checked for the 100th time. Sidearms are loaded and holstered. For the machine gun teams, the stakes are even higher. They assemble their heavy weapons, mounting them on bipods and test cycling the actions to ensure that when the trigger is pulled, there is no hesitation from the machinery. But while the fleet is a beehive of activity, the first wave has already reached the ground. In an undisclosed location in the Middle East, the first Ospreys have already touched down. The ramps dropped, and Marines poured out into the heat, immediately setting to work. Their mission? To build a functioning staging base from nothing. The first priority is invisibility. Camouflage netting is stretched over poles to break up the visual signature of the camp from overhead drones and satellites. Next comes the physical protection. Overhead shelters made of canvas and metal frames to shield personnel from the blistering sun and the elements. Then, the heavy labor begins. Using every tool at their disposal, teams are excavating defensive positions. They're digging fighting holes, setting up observation posts, and creating vehicle revetments. Sandbags are filled by the thousands and stacked to create ballistic walls. Within hours, a patch of barren desert is transformed into a fortified forward camp, complete with a direct communication link back to the fleet in the Pentagon. To keep the edge sharp, live-fire drills are conducted even while in transit. On the upper decks of the transport ships, targets are set up on the fantail. Shooters rotate through combat marksmanship exercises, zeroing their optics and adjusting their sights for the specific ranges they expect to encounter. The sound of gunfire competes with the crashing waves as group after group cycles through, one firing, one loading, and one cleaning. Behind this frontline force is a logistical pipeline that is arguably the most impressive feat of the entire operation. At heavy logistics bases, the work never stops. Forklifts and cargo loaders move like clockwork across the tarmac. Armored vehicles are driven up the steep ramps of C-17 transport aircraft and chained securely to the floors.
These heavy lifters are packed to the ceiling with everything required for sustained combat. Pallets of mortar shells, crates of grenades, anti-tank missiles, and millions of rounds of small arms ammunition. But a military doesn't just run on bullets, it runs on water, food, and fuel. Portable generators, fuel bladders, medical equipment, and spare parts are jammed into every available inch of cargo space. As soon as one C-17 is secured, it taxis out and takes off, making room for the next aircraft already waiting in line. This is a 24-hour-a-day operation. The goal is simple: ensure that when the 3,000 Marines are fully deployed, they have every single resource necessary to stay in the fight for as long as it takes. The sheer scale of this movement is a testament to the seriousness of the current situation. The deployment of the V-22 Ospreys and the thousands of combat-ready Marines isn't just a show of force, it is a functional preparation for any scenario. The Middle East has seen many troop movements over the decades, but the speed and technological integration of this specific emergency decision suggests that the stakes have never been higher. As the pipeline of supplies continues to flow and the forward camps grow in size, the world remains on edge, waiting to see what the next move will be in this high-stakes game of regional security.